So, one of my friendly local game stores, Guild Gaming, has a box of store exclusives. And one of those store exclusives is a Space Marine. The second is actually a Stormcast Eternal. So, this is video one of two. So, what I'm doing here is I'm just doing a quick and dirty tutorial that I can show the participants in the. We're doing like a painting night, and I'm going to be teaching people how to paint, hanging out, doing all that kind of fun stuff. So this is just going to be a quick and dirty tutorial on how to quickly knock something out and still make it look pretty decent. So I've opted for the Space Marine and the Stormcast to use a dry brushing method, with more of an overbrush in this particular case. And the reason why is because I like the texture that it leaves behind. It kind of makes everything look gritty, and it gives something for washes to hang on to if you want to do that sort of thing. So what I'm doing here is I first hit it with an overbrush of Corn Red, and then I'm hitting it now with an overbrush of Mephiston Red. Now, under all of this, of course, is black primer. And the black primer actually creates the shadows for you, which is a good thing. It makes it a little bit easier for you to contend with the rest of the painting, in regards to having gaps in the painting, creating your own shadows and whatnot. Having that black primer underneath everything actually makes it easier to hide mistakes. And that's kind of a good thing for first-time painters, for anybody that's first starting out. So in this particular instance, once I finish off the Mephiston Red, I go back with an Evil Sunz Scarlet. And after that, actually, I'm going to do a very, very, very light dry brush of Wild Rider Red, which is really close to like an orangish color. And if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, that's a lot closer to the original Blood Angels color. So the red here, we're leaving the black in the recesses for shadows and shading, but the red, you want it to be the most dominant over top the bigger areas and the raised areas on top. Now on the bolter here, I've gone back and I'm actually using Black Templar, the contrast paint from GW, and honestly, it's a strong enough paint that you don't have to worry about it not covering anything. And even if it doesn't, what it will do is leave just a faint trace of any red behind, which is not actually a bad thing. It'll give some color and some life to the model itself. So once I do the undersuit and the bolter, then I move on. And the purity seal here, I'm using Mournfang Brown to do an undercoat here, to do the underside of everything. Now here's where I may make my first mistake. I could not reach the Aquila very well, the symbol on their chest, so I scrapped the dry brush and went to a normal brush because it would be easier. And I actually have a trick to make it look a little bit grimdark, make it look like a kind of a burnished gold, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So going back to the purity seal, I have coated this in Wraithbone because I'm going to use Volupus Pink to do the wax part of the purity seal. And here, while I'm waiting for everything else to dry, I'm cleaning up some of the raised areas with that Evil Sunz Scarlet to make just these topmost areas a little more red and pop a little bit. Now I'm doing all of the most raised or the most prominent areas, like the edges here on the bottom of his feet, the armor plates on the front there, and the tops of the little round knobs there. I'm not sure what those are. Anyway, so just doing the tops of those, just doing the edges, a little bit of edge highlighting. That's the thing as well. Now, one more thing you could do, which I have not done on this model, and I may go back and do it, is you can use Retributor Armor to do the outside of his shoulder pads to make it pop a little bit as well. Now, returning to Mournfang Brown, the pouches on his belt, I'm doing those in Mournfang as well. That's plain and simple enough. I went back and hit that with an Agrax Earthshade wash. And as you can see with the Purity Seal, I went in with Volupus Pink, and then I came back with a Reaper paint called Belathian Chitin. Excuse the camera here. I was having issues with it focusing. White paints that are very bright like that sometimes cause the camera to freak out. Plus, it doesn't help that I've got a Liquitex bottle in the background it keeps trying to focus on. So I'll work on that. Doing a dry brush of the bolter. That was actually just Lead Belcher. And I actually have Retributor Armor on the brush for that. And then go around and I'm doing an olive green, which is kind of close to a Death World green for the eye lenses. Moving on to the base, this part actually took longer than doing the armor, if you believe it. What I'm doing here is just a quick gray, and I'm using a go-to color that I've found that I like, and it's actually Wolf Gray by Reaper. You can use Dawnstone or any of the Citadel paints if you'd like, but I felt in this particular case I wanted to start with a bright and then go ahead and wash it just to make it, go by a little quicker, cut a little bit of time off, because this is supposed to be a quick tutorial. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually I did 2 coats, and I'm taking Nuln Oil, and I'm just getting some Nuln Oil everywhere in all the recesses and all the places on the base. Once the Nuln Oil dries, I go back to Retributor Armor, and I just pick out a couple of small details just to make the base look not as monotonous, because honestly, you don't want it to look like all stone. And what you could do also, and what I skipped on this particular piece, is you can go back with a lighter color or even the original color and do a dry brush on all of the parts and pieces there. I did a little bit of lead belcher on the looks like rebar there. And this is my trick here. So I'm using Retributor Armor or Reikland Flesh Shade Gloss, and that will make the gold have kind of like a reddish, almost burnished look. And that's it. Plain and simple. Put a black rim on the base and you're good to go. So hopefully the people that will be painting with us on Monday the 5th of December will find this tutorial useful. If not, maybe somebody on my channel will. But that's it. That's the first tutorial of 2. And if I do say so, it looks pretty good. Now, I'm not exactly an expert in Space Marines. But anyway, if you've enjoyed the tutorial, please like and subscribe, and join me on Patreon and Discord if you'd like. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.